Hello little green thumb teachers. This is a video on how to visually inspect the wires and marette wire connectors of your cooling tube light fixture. So before us you will see a cooling tube light fixture that is available in many of our little green thumb classroom gardens. Okay, we require that this visual inspection must be done with a maintenance staff personnel from your school. Okay, now the most important part before we begin, and throughout the entire process of the visual inspection, we want to make sure that the system is de-energized. So what we mean by de-energized is that everything needs to be turned off and unplugged. So that means the light fixture, the fan, the ballast, the power surge bar. Everything is unplugged and turned off before we begin, and everything is unplugged and turned off throughout the entire inspection process. If you've had your light fixture and light running before you conduct the visual inspection, you turn off and unplug everything. So turn off the light, the fan, the ballast, the light fixture, the power surge bar, everything is unplugged and turned off. And then you'll need to wait a while for the system to cool down before you can begin. And then everything remains unplugged and turned off throughout the entire process. Okay? And you also want to make sure that there are no children around when you do this. So to recap, you're going to be doing the visual inspection with maintenance staff personnel from your school. Before you begin and throughout the entire process, you're going to make sure that the system is de-energized. So that means that everything is unplugged and turned off. The light fixture, the fan, the ballast, the power surge bar, everything is unplugged and turned off and remains so throughout the before you begin and throughout the entire inspection process. You want to make sure that the system is cool. So if the system has been running before you've begun and you've turned off everything, you've unplugged everything, you need to wait a while for everything to cool down so that nothing is hot to the touch and that there are no children around. Okay, so for this visual inspection, we are visually inspecting the wires and marette wire connectors of the cooling tube. Okay, we are visually inspecting only. We are not going to be touching or physically altering the wires or marette wire connectors in any way. So in order to access visually access the marette's wire connectors and wires, we need to locate the end of the cooling tube light fixture with the cord. It is this end where we will be able to see the wires and marette wire connectors. So what we will need to do is we'll need to remove the ducting. So we loosen the clamp, remove the ducting, and now we can visually see the set of wires, and the two white marette wire connectors. Okay, now as I stated before, this is a visual inspection only. We are just looking. At no point are we going to be touching the wires or the marette wire connectors. Okay, we are visually inspecting only. So we will begin by looking at the wires. We want to check for any signs of damage, defect, or anything unusual. So any bare wires exposed, any fraying, or anything that looks unusual. Okay, so we first inspect the wires for any signs of wear and tear, damage, defect, or anything that looks unusual. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the two marette wire connectors here. Now in this case, the marette wire connectors are white, but they may be a different color in your lighting system. So we want to check for any signs of wear and tear, damage, defect, or anything that looks unusual for the marette wire connectors as well. So this could be stuff like melting, cracking, or marette wire connectors that are loose or have fallen off. Okay. The next thing that we're going to look for is just to ensure that the wires are in the marette wire connectors. Okay, to make sure that the marette wire connectors are attached to the wires. Okay, so in this case we can see that everything is attached, the wires are in good condition, and the marette wire connectors are in good condition. We also want you to visually check the light fixture itself, okay, the end, just for any signs of scorching or anything that looks unusual. Okay, now at any point, if you do notice that there are signs of wear and tear, damage, defect, or anything that looks unusual, you want to make sure that the System remains de-energized, okay, so that everything is unplugged and turned off, okay, and you call your local little green thumb coordinator immediately. Okay, so to recap, this is a visual inspection only. You are just looking only, okay, you are not physically touching or physically altering the wires or marette wire connectors in any way, shape, or form. You are conducting this visual inspection with a maintenance staff personnel. You are making sure that the garden system and the light fixture is de-energized before you begin and remains so throughout the entire visual inspection process. So that means that everything is unplugged and turned off. Light fixture, the fan, the ballast, the power surge bar, everything is turned off and unplugged. Okay, you want to make sure that the system is cool so that if the system has been running, you will need to turn it off and unplug it and let it cool down for a while so that nothing is hot to the touch. Okay, and that you are doing so without any children around. And this is a visual inspection only. Just looking, not visual inspection of the wires and wire connectors. Just looking, not touching. Okay, and if you notice any damage, defect, or anything unusual, you keep everything unplugged and turned off, and you call your local little green thumb coordinator immediately. Thank you or if you have any questions, you can also contact your little green thumb coordinator. Thank you very much, and I hope this video was helpful.